I was actually starting to get a little bit nervous and thinking that I'd kind of burned myself out and doing all these videos and releasing all my energy into the earth consciousness, into the collective, but I find out that it's all there. Just, yeah, so my system, I needed to kind of recreate. That's what they call recreation, right? In other words, I needed to pull back for a while and be a little bit quiet and reflect on things. And then, but you see, any kind of interaction with the collective, and in this case through the form of television. I just turn on the TV and I see something, then it activates some knowledge or some memory in me. Knowledge, in this case, knowledge. So what I was saying was, I shouted at you, right? And you didn't have the opportunity in that moment. You didn't want to shout back, or you weren't able to shout back, okay? Maybe you were afraid because I was too powerful, this form was too powerful, or it was your boss. For instance, your boss shouts at you. You can't tell him exactly what you think because you're afraid you lose your job, okay? That energy gets stored up in your system. And the way that it gets neutralized is, there's a lot of ways it can get neutralized. Sickness, people get sick and they experience pain. That neutralizes the energy to some extent. Or they go home and they shout at their kids. That is also, but that's not actually neutralizing the energy. The getting sick is more of an opportunity of neutralizing. Shouting at the kids is just passing it on. And basically, it's just like the domino thing, right? Whereas if you get sick, you do neutralize that karma to a great extent, depending on the amount of pain you experience and how you go about it. But the point is, the energy has to go somewhere. Something has to happen with it. So in the television show, there was a young boy, he was attacked by 5 or 6 other children, and I think they cut off part of his hand or his finger or something. And then he, when he grew up, went about capturing young children and cutting off parts of them. So, but actually this is what really happens. That stress got stored up in the young boy's system, and for real, it doesn't necessarily always happen that action gets carried out within one contiguous lifetime. It might be that in the next lifetime, and this is the way I was seeing it, the 5 or 6 boys who ganged up on the young child, on this one small boy, they take another body, okay? And the point is that Mother Nature, the Divine Mother, wants to keep our accounts. Let's say we have a karmic account, okay? She wants to balance things. So things are in imbalance. So these 5 or 6 abusers take a body again after they've gotten rid of this body, and as a young child, something terrible happens to them. Why? Because in the previous embodiment, or in some embodiment, they perpetrated the same kind of abuse on another human being. And that is, of course, a prohibited action. They did something which is not supposed to be done. Okay, but why did they do that? Why did they perpetrate that action? That's the chicken and egg syndrome. That's the difficulty. Okay, I'm talking about action-reaction patterns, right? In other words, the whole thing, now we can take it all the way back to the Big Bang and, what started what going. But basically, what we really need to know here to understand is here that things sometimes in the earth plane get out of balance. So it has to be brought back into balance for people to be able to live in harmony. So I've been saying lately that people come to earth to have experiences, and that there are people who are here to experience pain. Now, there's a couple of reasons for that. One reason may be that they needed to experience that pain to neutralize their own karma because of something that they had done in a previous embodiment. But another reason may very well be that a perfectly innocent soul, someone who has not committed karmas, volunteers to neutralize the karma of the collective by suffering. And this is what happened in the case of Jesus of Nazareth. But as so often happens, when ignorance prevails, people assume and are encouraged to think that this was a one-time thing, that God only embodies one time, and that this sacrifice of this one Jesus of Nazareth is for all time, and it's final, and you have to believe on that, and if you don't, then you're stuck, and you're going to go to hell, and everything. This is totally untrue. Jesus is not the only embodiment of God. Why do people believe that Jesus is the only Son of God, when in the scripture itself it says something completely different? Well, they've been taught to believe that because that is what is expedient for the leaders of these corporations that we call the church, in order for them to be able to exploit masses of people through fear and such like. Okay? So it's easy to exploit masses of people if you spread this sort of dogma, which gives it an exclusivity. In other words, we have the exclusive right to the Christ of the cross. And you can only get him here, in our little station, at our little store. So come to our store and buy our idea, and I do mean literally buy it, because they're encouraging these people to give 1/10 of their income every week, right? This is the truth, right? These people are encouraged to give 1/10 of their income, so they're selling them the goods. And the goods are that once and for all, Jesus paid for your quote-unquote sin. Well, first of all, my concept of sin is a little bit different. Okay, so let's not go off on that tangent right now, because I really wanted to talk about this thing about karma and about how karma gets neutralized and what's happening in the earth plane right now, because some of you out there are really confused and really need to know what I'm about to tell you.